Hi, I'm Lance Lysowski from the Buffalo News. Here in Toronto, Scotiabank Arena, getting ready for Sabres versus Maple Leafs on Wednesday night, the first game of a back-to-back for Buffalo, as they're preparing to head to Nashville to late tonight for a Thursday night game against the Predators. Trade deadline for the NHL is less than 2 days away. Well, Kevyn Adams got a head start. Casey-Mittelstadt, who was the Sabres' leading scorer, a pending restricted free agent, traded to the Colorado Avalanche for defenseman Bowen Byram. A bit of a stunner. We know that Mittelstadt, as a pending RFA, he was in for quite a significant raise this summer. If the Sabres weren't going to be able to negotiate a bridge or long-term contract for Mittelstadt, then his case would have gone to arbitration, and you're likely looking at a $6 to $7 million season salary, which would have been difficult for the Sabres to manage, just because of their other needs, who they're going to sign. I just think, as you read into the situation, they've already signed Tage Thompson and Dylan Cousins. Peyton Krebs has shown that he's ready for a larger role. The prospect pipeline includes at least 3 young centers who are pushing for the NHL, or going to be pushing for the NHL next season, in Noah Ostlund, Matt Savoy, and Yuri Kulik, that Kevyn Adams felt at least comfortable enough to listen to those phone calls from other general managers around the league. Now, Mittelstadt, 25 years old, center or wing, very good on the power play. He's going to fit in perfectly with the Colorado Avalanche. This wasn't going to be a trade that Buffalo made unless they got an NHL player in return. That was the big caveat there. They were not looking for the type of return they got for Sam Reinhart, just almost 3 years ago at this point, when they got a first-round pick and Devin Levi in return. They wanted somebody who could help this team not only now, but into the future, and Byram fits that bill. He's 22 years old, a left-shot defenseman, won a Stanley Cup with the Colorado Avalanche almost 2 years ago at this point, while paired, by the way, with Erik Johnson throughout that 20-game run to the Cup. There are questions, of course, with Bowen Byram. The Avalanche wouldn't be trading him if there weren't any. He doesn't really have a role in their power play, hasn't really helped them on the penalty kill either, and his 5-on-5 impacts the past 2 years have taken a hit. Now, a big part of that is who he's been spending most of his ice time next to, particularly Josh Manson and Jack Johnson. Manson's a good player. Jack Johnson's a perfectly okay third-pair defenseman, but those guys don't exactly complement the way that Bowen Byram likes to play the game. Joins the rush, very aggressive, will fit Buffalo's style of play perfectly. Don't even think there'll be much of an adjustment for him in regards to that. You're more looking at how they're defending, those sort of situations. He's under contract through next year. There have been injury questions, by the way. I'm not even speaking to the concussion that Byram dealt with at least 2 years ago at this point. That's in the rear view. I don't think that we should allow a previous head injury to follow a player along. Many guys have recovered and not had another throughout the duration of their careers. Sidney Crosby and, oh, by the way, Jeff Skinner are 2 that really come to mind in terms of accomplished NHLers who overcame that earlier in their careers and had long, sustained success in the NHL. So that's not even my concern here. My question is, how does Byram fit into the Sabres' plans, not only for the rest of this season, but next? He's another left shot, joining Dahlin, Matthias Samuelsson, and Owen Power. The Sabres are pretty thin on the right side now. And how does this impact Henri Jokiharju, who's having a career year, has played very well on the top pair at times. He's had a couple of rough games here or there, but you have to like the way that he's grown into that role and become a reliable second or third pair defenseman. Jokiharju's an RFA this summer. Again, a guy who's going to be due another pay raise. Now, given his style of play, the lack of points, you're probably going to get a pretty good discount on Jokiharju relative to what he can bring to your team. So I don't necessarily think this impacts him in the short term. I think that Buffalo would be very open to bringing him back. I don't know why they wouldn't, given his age, the progress he's made, but he is a player that, eventually you might have trouble signing him when you're looking at Byram and what he's going to cost you eventually. Those are problems for another day, but it bears watching here as the Sabres look to build out the rest of their roster. We do know, their defense prospect pipeline isn't the strongest. Vsevolod Komarov is the best arguably the best prospect they have outside the NHL right now. He's finishing up his career in the Quebec Maritimes Junior Hockey League, leading that league in scoring at the age of 20. He'll be jumping to the Amherst soon. Nikita Novikov is with the Amherst already, a Russian, left shot, big, 6'4", hard to defend, kills penalties. He's going to be, you really like the potential there, but he's not someone who can help them anytime soon. Ryan Johnson, of course, is somebody who's been on the Sabres roster for most of this season, so you also have to wonder how is he going to fit into their plans next season, with Connor Clifton, Yoki Haru, Byram, Dahlin, Power, Samuelson, and then there's Samuelson's injury history. How does that play into the Sabres' decision-making and them electing this return as opposed to something else? Now, Byram, not going to play in this game on Wednesday night. We'll see if he's able to arrive in time on Thursday, but he's somebody that is going to help this blue line sooner rather than later. And we'll see what Kevyn Adams has to say about the deal. We won't hear from him on Wednesday, at least we're not expected to. So until then, stay tuned. Again, Casey-Mittelstadt off to the Colorado Avalanche, Bowen Byram joining the Sabres. I'm Lance Lysowski with the Buffalo News here in Toronto. Thanks again.